Hello guys, this is another episode for the P&P podcast. This is going to be discussing PPC upskilling yourself and your team.
That is correct.
Yeah, so I thought this was a very good topic on the back of our last one, episode, which was about obviously your in-house, between agency and whatnot. So I think with this one, this is a good starting point. If you're, especially if you're someone new in this area, if you're just starting out your career, so on and so forth, we're going to pretty much walk you through potentially which point you're at and what's available for you. So I'll just start us off, Chris. So,
but if you didn't watch the last one, I'm Chris. I'm the lead PPC marketer at Digital 22.
They all know now, Chris.
And this is my colleague, Christian.
They all know.
And he works with me at Digital 22 on the
believe
PPC
it or
side.
not, yeah, believe it or not. But the first one is potentially you're obviously wanting to get a flavour of what PPC is, and what is available. Obviously, you've got all your podcasts that we briefly mentioned on the last one. But what I'd recommend is, obviously you've got multiple channels. You've got your Google Ads, you've got your LinkedIn, you've got your Microsoft, so on and so forth. And believe it or not, every single one of them has a certification. So what I'd suggest is all of these are free resources. They all, granted, they're not the most in-depth certifications, but I think they give you a good flavour of what it's actually about, how you go about it. And it just gives you the terminology, gives you the sort of, that's pretty much it, the terminology and all that sort of aspect of it.
Like you said, practicality-wise, I don't think they're essential.
No, I don't.
You can probably learn more in the accounts.
Definitely, through trial and error,
through trial and error, exactly. But it's the error that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and that's what it is. Like if you're starting out, it's the mistakes that. And if you've got a lot of time, the mistakes happen because you don't understand the acronyms and the terminology and things like that. Whereas if you've done the courses and you've spent that time reading through the material, doing the little bits of, the working in the accounts and everything like that, then you'll be in a much better place to complete these exams and get certified, and and they just help you in your progression through, really. Like you'll probably find that a lot of people, as they go further up, like the PPC ladder, if you will, they'll just do the refresher courses just to keep their eye in, almost, because you're that busy working in accounts, and you've got the display certificate, video, remarketing, shopping, and you've got YouTube.
Where's one is there?
And then you've got your Microsoft. You've got all your different ones on Microsoft, as well as Google, and then you've got all the different ones on LinkedIn, and then you can do things like B2 LinkedIn, which is the largest marketing company, the LinkedIn marketing company. They do their own on LinkedIn, and I did that course.
Was that with that AJ Wilcox?
Yeah, that's AJ Wilcox. That's a podcast that we
both
listen to.
Him, definitely.
Really good podcast.
LinkedIn for sure.
A few more listeners than ours, not many.
Only a couple of million.
Only a couple of million. But you've got all those different ones, and then you've got the HubSpot ones. Well, you've got all the different platforms as well.
Definitely. I think that one's a good one because all these other ones are platform specific, whereas if you go on a HubSpot level, that's teaching you a type of digital marketing in general, in terms of inbound. And obviously some of them can be very specific to the platform, but I think in terms of what it teaches you about inbound and the methodology of the flywheel and stuff, I think before I came here, I didn't have a clue about any of that. And I think as far as my development's concerned, as soon as I started learning them, same again, some of them can be a bit tedious, so be it. But the point is that the value that you're gaining from a free course is, you'd definitely be paying for something like that elsewhere. So I think there's so much available that you can be doing it straight away in your spare time everywhere. I think there's so much available on that aspect.
I think that goes back to our last podcast, didn't we, about the personal development. Like there's so much free material out there. All you've got to do for some of it is literally turn it on and listen.
Literally, yeah.
That is it.
That is all fast forward for some of them.
Yeah, for some of the training videos, definitely
fast forward.
Speed it up. But for some of the podcasts, all you've got to do literally is you've got to read some blogs and listen to some podcasts, and you will improve your knowledge, and for free.
Definitely.
That is it.
I think for me as well, like a lot, probably back in the day, they might have told you about checking blogs out and stuff like that. But for me, I don't really digest information quite as well like that. And whereas podcasts, it's on hand, very easy, driving to work, drive back. It's just much easier, isn't it?
I mean, you've pretty much got the same commute as me. It's 20-25 minutes on a good day. Granted, you set off at about 6 a.m.
Keen bean.
Weirdo. But if you've got those 20-25 minutes in a car, like with a podcast on.
Put the Joe Rogan down.
Try something. Yeah, exactly. If you've got the podcast on in the car, there's and And when you're on your way into work, for me, like the commuting to work, it's when you switch from home to work mode kind of thing. And when you're driving home, you switch from work to home mode and you try and switch off a bit. But just listening to a podcast and like I listen to like personal development, business, not all just about, PPC,
100%.
but I do listen to those as well. And I read a lot of stuff, whether it be blogs or like marketing websites. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Definitely.
You've got to keep, just keep up to date with, because it's free knowledge, and you can absorb all that, and then you might not need it, but then there'll be someone be talking about something, and out of nowhere you'll remember that article or that blog that you've read, and you'll be able to help someone else out, and you'll develop your knowledge like that, because you keep it. When you read something, you keep it. You don't always use it because you don't always need it.
Definitely.
But it's there.
Yeah, and I think if you found a podcast that you really like, putting it on alerts, this area that we work in is always changing year by year.
Week by week, if
literally.
So
yeah, I know, yeah, literally. So from a perspective of if you found, like, for example, AJ Wilcox on the LinkedIn, the
B2links.com.
That's the one. Like, if you are in LinkedIn and you are...
If AJ could give us a plug back, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, we'll keep dreaming. But in terms of, like, the new ad types that they're bringing in, the personal experience from he's spending millions on this platform.
And he gets invited to all the beta testing at LinkedIn as well.
Definitely. So, like, that information's so valuable and it's free. So that's where I'd start. I think what we wanted to move on to next is potentially you've finished all of these free courses, or at least
you've done a lot of them.
Yeah, and maybe they're going over the same sort of stuff in terms of the context and the angle. Like, this is platform specific. Maybe then you can start looking at paid courses in terms of, like, Udemy is a great start. This is obviously still a personal level. Udemy has got everything on there. There's reviews which indicate what's very good. I've got some which haven't delivered what I was expecting, but you're always going to find that with anywhere. But I think,
but for £8, you're not that bothered.
Exactly.
Watch out for the ones that have come down though from £300 to £8.
Yeah, I know.
There's always something a little bit dodgy there.
Yeah,
and if all the reviews sound the same, just be a little bit wary. It is a minefield. It's an absolute minefield with like the paid course.
3 years direct debit payment.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got to be really, really careful with those. But there are some, like you said, I mean, 100%, jokes aside, there are some really good ones, and there are some great. Like, a lot of times, what you'll find is a lot of people who do the blogs and the podcasts, they'll have a course like a Udemy, or they'll have their own paid course, and like a lot of the time they are like gold mines, because
100%.
You're not just getting something that's churned out for the masses. A lot of the times they'll do. Like, it's got their personal experiences. Like, I did the agency overdrive course, the Isaac Wadansky one.
Right. Okay.
And that's a pretty big one. I did it I had a subscription, and it was only like $9 a month for a year, but I did like 3 hours a week of just listening to all these different online courses and stuff like that. And after a while, I thought, I don't need to be part of that anymore. So I removed myself, because I felt like I got what I needed from it. So it was like things for PPC. It was like about writing quotes, slide decks, visual reporting for clients.
Which, if you were doing just the personal free courses at the start, that's more processes.
Exactly.
And it's more personal experience, where I think once you've done all these independent courses for independent platforms, there's only so much you can read that stuff, and at that point the value is in other people's experience who have been doing it for longer than you, spent more budget than you, and that is where the value is at that point.
Learn from their mistakes as well. That's a lot of it, isn't it? Because
100%,
like you say, we talked about trial and error, and if you're starting out and you've only got a small budget, that error normally is pretty costly.
Definitely.
So it's better to learn off someone else's errors rather than
your own money. Yeah, exactly.
That's actually true.
And then I think the next one we wanted to move on to is sort of a company upskilling aspect.
Yeah.
And I think this is slightly different, because if you're a company, you might have found a couple of Udemy courses which work for you, but I think you need to get something in place which is a bit more holistic from that aspect.
Yeah, especially if you're a company. So you've got your multinational, for example, you've got people working everywhere, and you're trying to get, 50 or 60 of your team across the globe to do this Udemy course. It's probably not going to work.
No.
Udemy's probably not set up for that.
No, it's one login, isn't it? I don't think they'd want you to do that. No. I don't think
but then you've got these providers, the Circus Street, for example, they specialise in upskilling your entire team across multinational working all the time zones and everything like that.
You can be sure they're kept up to date as well, and that's where I think there's more value in stuff like that, because if you're investing in an entire department, you want to make sure that it's
not outdated.
Exactly, and it's always being tweaked. And whereas with some of Udemy, they are more of a
3 years old.
Yeah. So you are learning from somewhat the past, but yeah, I think from a company level, I think definitely there's other resources out there like the likes of Circus Street, for example, which I think they provide a much more holistic view on these things as well.
Yeah, and they've got like they're built for it as well. So you get, I imagine you'd get like a customer login, and you give everyone their own login. They all log in. You can see everyone's progress on the courses. You can look at any members of staff that might need any extra help, because everyone might not get it first time, but and they do so much around digital marketing kind of thing. But and there will be other people out there as well who do it. But that's just an example of trying to upskill your entire team at once.
100%, and I think as well it's potentially, even I know this is from a PPC perspective, but you should be always willing to learn about other departments and how other things work. And I think with these sorts of larger offerings, you've got access to all these courses. So if you are just interested in general, you don't have to buy a new. It's all there, so you can choose to develop yourself.
Do something around content, write your ads better, write your landing pages a bit better, kind of thing.
100%, I think so.
Learn about SEO. Look at things like why is page speed so important, and making sure that even if you do a PPC landing page, just making sure you've got your title, your metas all right. Just so, I mean, it won't affect any rankings because we make them all no follow, but it's just getting into that best practices of what to do, so you're always doing things properly.
I couldn't agree more. And then finally, I think this is something that if you wanted to like sort of get a higher education sort of level, obviously there's degrees out there which you can go down the marketing aspect, but in terms of specifically digital marketing, there's not really. As far as I'm concerned, I the ones which were at the university I went to, it was more of a broad marketing aspect of sort of how it works. But I think of the higher education one, I've done this one as well. So this was the Digital Marketing Institute one. This was all online, and they have different levels for it, and I think this is brilliant.
You can do like an entry-level diploma.
Yeah, I think there's the Digital Marketing Professional, then you've got, which is equivalent to somewhat of I believe that's like a BSc sort of level. Then they've got the sort of expert, which is sort of your master's package, and it's like you've got your own time to do it. It's online learning. You have to obviously go into the place, but I think something like that, these are a bit more premium, these ones.
That's not like £100. It's
no,
like £3,000 kind of thing.
Yeah, £3,000 up to, I think the top one could be 6 to 9, depending on what percentage discount you get at the time. But
and there always is a discount. Don't be fooled.
Yeah, that's it. But I think with something like that, if you truly are looking to invest, and this is not just a specific PPC.
No, this is more like overall overarching kind of thing.
And I think that sort of learning is like GDPR and sort of tracking's coming to a somewhat of an end this year, or it's going to take a big hit. And I think
it's a whole new podcast.
Yeah, no, but my point being is that this holistic approach to digital marketing it is coming. I think people need to be able to read between the lines in terms of, especially from a PPC perspective. If you can't attribute to yourself, you gotta be understanding how it's all working and what it's contributing towards, and how you can see the changes if you are pulling budget. So I think this more holistic approach to it, I think that's where I'm trying to get at with this sort of offering, in the sense of it's giving you that overarching theory of how it all connects together and where PPC has its place in an overall digital marketing strategy, rather than just looking at a PPC strategy. Where is your place in this entire system as such?
No, completely. I mean, all the different elements of the marketing strategy, like when we work for a client, we do the planning hub, and we see and we look at. For me, I'm always looking at what social we're doing. I want to know what social we're doing, because if I'm running a paid campaign on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, anything like that, I need to make sure that it's aligned with what they're doing, so that people, when they see that, they get that continuity. When I'm looking at what content they're doing, I need to know what kind of blogs are going out, because then I need to make sure that the paid campaigns reflecting that. So if there's any like particular topics that we're doing it around, then I need to make sure that we're really strong with our presence, so that if people do go searching online, they're seeing us again and they're getting that continuity. 100%. It's not just the fact of, this is what they do, we'll put a paid campaign up about it and leave it, and that's it. No. It's all got to be part of.
There's learnings everywhere.
Exactly, you're part of that overarching team. And when the team does that, and we all look at what each other are doing, then that's why we get the results that we do.
100%, and I couldn't agree more. I think they're the little chunks of it, like bits of information which have dramatic impacts on your campaign. And it's already there. That's what these departments have been A/B testing into. Like you said, on content, they write the pages for the landing pages. So if they've got a particular one which is working very well, and we want to make a PPC landing page, how can we repurpose what they've already got instead of just trying to go about it ourselves? They've already done the learning. They've probably already had that particular piece out for a couple of months. Let's use what they've already learned, go and speak to them, go and have that discussion.
And as well, let's be honest, these guys they're the professionals, they're the content writers.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we've been having internal talks about
we've been speaking about
this
is what they do day in, day out. They write these pages every single day.
And there's a way of writing.
There's a way of writing.
Frankly, I don't have it sometimes.
There is, it's a skill. But then if we ask the content writer to write some PPC ads and they've only got 30 characters for a headline and 90 characters for a description, they'd struggle because they're wordsmiths. They're used to writing pieces of content without saying They're used to writing pieces of content that sound really well written. They're very eloquent. They're really well spoken. And whereas a PPC ad is offering call to action, buy it.
Yeah, it's more the variables that you're looking at are very like...
You've got to try and get as much information as you can normally into 180, possibly going up to 360 characters if you're using 4 descriptions and a responsive search ad. So, but even then, if you were to ask them to write a sales ad in 360 characters, a content writer, they'd struggle because they're used to using a lot of like words and making it sound. It all depends on the client's tone of voice and the style guide and everything like that. But normally, it's really difficult it's a skill writing a paid ad. So yeah, that's a tough one for them. But once we've looked at what they've written on the website, we can absorb as much of that as we can and then use that in our landing pages and our ads. And again, it's all about that continuity for the client and just showing everywhere kind of thing.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, I think we're doing the higher stuff like you said, Digital Marketing Institute. You'll learn more about that, like you said, the overarching stuff rather than just. I mean, it is really important at the start when you're doing all those free certifications.
That's for your specific channel.
Focus on your PPC. Focus on like HubSpot attribution. I'm doing more HubSpot certifications at the minute around contact attribution and workforce because I want to know how to better attribute the content, especially with everything coming up like removal of cookies and stuff. I need to know how to work that better. So I'm doing that for me, for my personal development and professional. But then you look at that and then you've done all the Google, you've done all the Microsoft ads, certifications, which you don't forget about when you have to renew on a weekend because you need to do it before it expires. We've all been there, let's be honest. So you do those, but then you've got like the smaller paid ones like the Udemy and stuff like that. Now, you're probably not going to pay more than about, I don't know, £49 to do a personal course at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, probably about a limit, but make sure you read all the reviews and see what it's about and make sure that you know, or even if you've got contacts on LinkedIn, ask on LinkedIn, ask, has anyone done this course before? Do you recommend it? There's lots of Facebook groups around paid search professionals and stuff like that, Slack channels, if you use those. Just ask. There's someone who's always done it. They might have done it. It might have been good. It might have been not. But just listen to what people have done and then take it all with a pinch of salt and make an informed decision.
Definitely.
And then you've done those and then you moved on to, like you say, the chunkier ones, like, the DMI and stuff like that, where it's probably going to take 5 or 6 hours, a week to do it.
I did, and 3 exams. I didn't do it in the first 2. Sadly, it took me the third, but it was
third
a good
time
moment.
lucky.
It was a good
third
moment.
time lucky.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So you can't get everything right first.
No,
time,
that's it.
But you got there though. That's the thing though, because you committed the time before. So like you've done the free courses on each platform, you've done the Udemy courses, and then because you've done all that, it puts you in a good position because it's hard to do.
Well, this is it. I think for me, on all of them, they're all in an MCQ setting. And for me, I'm not like...
That's a multiple choice question, by the way, in case anyone didn't get that.
Yeah, sorry. And for me, they try and trick you.
They do. It's how they word it.
That's what I hate about it.
It's how they word it.
And it's very disheartening at times because you feel like you know it. And
you do know it.
100%. And in this day and age, with Google there, that you will never be in a situation where you need to pick from 4 options on the spot. You've got Google there. The point is that you need to... Yeah, the settings of these
and a lot of the answers are very similar as well.
Yeah, they just try and trick you. It's nothing new for me.
It's like when you're at school and the teacher's you won't have a calculator in your pocket all the time?
Yeah.
Here's one.
But yeah, I think the overarching for this, I think for me is that the PPC, the role of a PPC expert, I think it's going to be changing more and
Evolving.
more. Yeah, I think like you're going to be asked to do more. I think once more automated bidding comes in, AI, these sorts of things, the jobs that potentially a PPC expert was doing 5 years ago won't be doing in the next 5 years. So you shouldn't get in a position where you feel like you've just
Left
done
behind.
these. Yeah, and you're just slowly being left behind. You'll just get left behind. So somewhat of a summary.
The thing on that before you
Go on,
summarize
sorry.
is with the automation and everything, that I embrace automation. I think it has its place.
Mm-hmm.
Still use manual where possible to make sure you get a feel of that and make sure the account's not going to run away with itself. I have this discussion with Google all the time. She's like, well, a plane can fly on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
It can, but a pilot still lands it.
Yeah,
and you will always be that pilot.
Mm-hmm.
You will always be the one
100%,
that's never going to replace the human eye.
Mm-hmm.
They'll always need someone to look at that account for things like seasonalities, even things like warm weather, weekends, football tournaments, all that kind of stuff that an algorithm cannot factor in.
No, they can't.
So whilst all that is, sorry to bring summary, but,
no, you're right.
for all the
Good
automation
point.
that is coming in, he kicked his laptop again, Jonathan.
Jesus, making a habit of this, aren't I?
So yeah, for all the automation that is coming in, they will always need an account manager to make sure who's got the overarching, like, holistic, ever-evolving view on it.
Definitely. No, I couldn't agree more. No, so to summarise, is that all right?
Yeah, I'm not going to.
No, to summarise, start with your free courses, your certifications on your specific platforms. There's multiple out there: HubSpot, LinkedIn, Google, so on and so forth. Then you've got your paid Udemy ones. That's giving you a bit more of someone's subjective opinion on that as well, which, as we mentioned earlier, I think once you start to get past these sort of certifications, the value is in someone's learning and someone's peaks and troughs.
Learn from someone else's errors.
100%. And then if you're in a position where you're trying to find the best way to upskill multiple people, there's different avenues for that, like the likes of Circus Street, which we mentioned. Yeah. And then finally, if it's more of a case of you've pretty much guaranteed that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you want to invest as much as you can in yourself, look at that higher education sort of diploma or sort of degree, whether it be Digital Marketing Institute. There is probably degrees out there at specific...
Chartered Institute of Marketing there.
Yeah, and there's probably other degrees at specific universities which you focus it on, but I think
the Open University do some good courses as well.
Yeah, so I think like once you properly want to invest in yourself, hopefully your company will invest in for you, but with the size of these sorts of courses, it's something that you got to do for yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's more of a case of if you want to definitely get that holistic approach, make sure you're ticking all the boxes, look at that that higher education diploma.
Try and get to the point where you enjoy doing them as well.
Well,
if you can enjoy doing them.
I'm there now, yeah.
Well, it is because it's what you do. So like, you enjoy like reading the material. Like a lot of the learning material you probably already know, but it's just refreshing. And then when you go to answer those questions, you're ready for them. You're ready for how they're written. They're trying to trip you up, kind of thing. But even like, especially for like the HubSpot, the Google, the LinkedIn, the Microsoft ones, you can probably go and do those certifications like just off the cuff because you've already done it before. You don't need to refresh those. But then when you go to like Udemy ones and stuff like that, it's more watching the videos, trying to like absorb what's there. But then just do them. Like, don't make them a chore, otherwise you're going to resent doing them, kind of thing. Definitely. So just make sure that you're in a place where even if you're proper stacked at work and everything, just try and do it when you're not as busy. So therefore you retain more information. You're more receptive to it, and you don't see it as almost like a chore doing them, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Cheers for listening. Hope you enjoyed it.
Take care.